All right. Well, hello, everyone. Press that share button. Get ready to share this. Our guest speaker is already sharing this with her audience. I encourage those of you who are joining us live right now to share this because this is a made marriage episode that you do not want to miss. So, hello there. I am Dr. Siobhan Farad, and this is episode number 3 of the Made Marriage Show. This is where I get to interview real and incredible wives just like you about how they make marriage work because we all know that great marriages do not just happen. You can't just sit there and expect it to happen. That great marriages are made by our intentional actions and our intentional thoughts and our intentional attitudes towards our spouses. And so I am so excited for this episode. I encourage you all, again, share this with your audiences right now so they can catch it live just in case they want to engage with us. Our featured wife today is sharing it with all of her networks because she has a lot of networks. So we're excited to connect her audience with us here at Relatable, and we are so glad to be able to have this time together and to sort of kick off our session. So hello there, Miss Tanya. Why don't you introduce yourself to the people and share with us how you make your marriage work?
Hey, everybody, this is Tanya Barnett, your real wife coach, and I am a wife coach. I also help single women as well as divorced women, but my primary focus is married women, and I help them create an environment in their home where their marriages can work, or those who are single, we have conversations about what their home life was like at home and how not to bring the negative, yucky stuff into their relationships, because a lot of times we bring that stuff in and then we cause turmoil and we're wondering why he's responding that way. And it's because of learned behavior that we brought into our relationship. So that's what I do.
Fantastic. Thank you. So what would you say, from your perspective, just to kick it off, like, what are the ingredients to making marriage work?
Wow. I know, right? There's a recipe book that can hold all of it.
Recipe book, exactly. I mean, we need it from grandma. We need like grandma's secret.
Right. I definitely would say patience. Patience is just so important. And that's even in the Bible, that really, patience is really important. Understanding that the individual that you're married to or in a relationship or get engaged to is not perfect. And I say that to my ladies all the time. Hey, he is not perfect. I get it, but neither are you. And so I think it's really important for us to understand that we are two imperfect people working together for a perfect union that God has created. And so there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be disappointments. There's going to be frustrations, but that should not have a bearing on your relationship. And everything is workable.
Everything is workable. I love that. I love that theme. So tell us a little bit about your own love story.
Wow. Okay. Well, my husband and I actually met. We were meant to be. I was supposed to start a brand new job on a Monday. They called me Thursday night and said, hey, can you come in on Friday so you can shadow somebody? And so I quickly found childcare for my daughter because I was a single mom at the time. And I showed up Friday morning, and lo and behold, here comes my husband at like 10 o'clock that morning. And that was his first time actually being at this doctor's office. And he asked me for my phone number. So had I gone to work on Monday, we would have never met. That is just so crazy. And so we just started getting a friendship and things of that nature. And then I really didn't care for him too much. So I pushed him away. And my husband used to say, you girls, y'all don't want the good guys, y'all want the bad guys. And so he really was a great guy. So we lost contact, and then we picked it back up a few months later, and he proposed, and we were married within 6 months.
Wow. It's so funny.
It's a year of meeting each other.
Yeah, this is a common theme. My first guest, I think they were dating 3 months before he proposed. But all of them, and myself included, when you meet this man that God has already, determined is going to be your husband, like we overlook him. He maybe doesn't come in the package, or,
Right.
we want that sort of like excitement of the chase of the guy who doesn't pay us any attention.
Right.
And we, discount this man that's going to be there for us forever. And so I love that you are right in line with all the other guests and you have experience in that. So I think that's a message, especially if there are any single ladies watching us today. So, Miss Tanya, why don't you tell me, marriage, I know, is always full of surprises. What would you say is something that has surprised you the most about being married, good or bad, whichever way?
Truthfully, the number one thing that surprised me is that I didn't know men had emotions, and I didn't know men hurt. And it's just because I never saw my dad hurt. I never saw him sad. If I did, I probably didn't recognize it as a child. And so that really shocked me when I saw my husband cry for the first time, or, his frustration. Because, of course, when you're dating, you see all the good stuff. You don't see the anger and the frustration. And so when we had several things happen, immediately after we got married, I was taken aback, just like, okay, I married Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And so that for me was the biggest one. Just, I didn't understand that men had emotional needs. And so I didn't know how to help my husband when he was going through some of the things that he went through. Actually, I kind of tore him down. I called him all types of names. You're a punk. You're soft. All these, because I just never saw a man show his emotions ever.
Mm-hmm. That's really powerful. As women, we think, we want to be there for them. But then when we get this shock, it's like, we don't even know how to handle it, and we don't know how to be there for him. So thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Marriage, in addition to being full of surprises, I like to say that marriage is like an endless journey in personal growth and development. Mm-hmm. And so I know all of us grow and evolve just by being human beings. But what would you say is the area that maybe you have grown the most, or that you've learned from as a result of being married to your husband specifically, right? I feel like it's no accident the people that God connects us with, mm-hmm. that, our husbands are often a mirror to the areas that we need to pay more attention mm-hmm. to within ourselves. And so what would you say is like the biggest thing you've learned, or the biggest way you've grown as a result of being married to your husband?
I think for me, the biggest area I grew was empathy and understanding other people's feelings. I knew how to do it for my children, but for adults, because I came from a household where my mother was very sharp and things of that nature. And so being married to Don, I had to really learn how to care about his feelings, what he was going through. And then also that translates into the workspace when you're working with people or clients or customers. Being able to see the relationship at that moment through their eyes. And I think that's just overall, when you look at the world today that we live in, people only see people through their lens, their worldview, and not through the other person. And so I think that's really, for me, that was the biggest thing, learning to see my marriage, learning to see me, my parenting, my attitude, everything through my husband's eyes. So I would say empathy.
That's a huge thing. I love what you said, learning to see yourself through your husband's eyes. That's one of the things I always ask clients and people that I come across. I'm like, have you ever considered what it's like to be married to you? Like what it's like on the other side of some of the things you say, some of the ways you act, some of the moods you get in. Like, have you ever considered like what it's like to be on the other side of that? And I think your point is like spot on with there. So I recognize that, a lot of different women in different stages in their marriage may be watching our show. And, there may be some woman that's watching now or will watch a replay that is really contemplating divorce or separation, where she really feels like her marriage is not working. And it's just not a happy situation. It's not a place where she wants to stay. What advice or perspective or experience might you offer, and how might you speak to someone that's in that moment right now?
Wow. I would give a twofold answer. If it's a relationship where there's any type of domestic violence or anything like that, I would definitely say get out. And there's services that are available for women like that. So I would never, tell a woman to stay in that type of relationship. And something as far as divorce, I was there several times where I wanted a divorce. I wanted out. Very early in my marriage, I actually, looked it up how to get an annulment because I was right in that window right after getting married. But for me, when I got to that low place, I had to just ask myself, do I even love this man? And then I was able to say, yes, I do love him. And then would I divorce my kids? As angry as my children make me, would I divorce my children? I chose to say yes to him. My children, I didn't choose them. God just gave me whoever my children were. But I chose to say yes to my husband. And so from there, I had to really dig deep and say, okay, I love this man. I chose to say I do. It wasn't a shotgun wedding. So what do I have to do to get back onto the road to recovery? Because that's really what it is. I think what happens is when we get into that space where we want out or we want a divorce, I think the issues and the problems have become bigger than love. And so I always talk about how those things cover up love. It's really like love is here, like, yo, I'm still here. But you look at the issues, the bills, the sex, the emotional drama, and, if there's infidelity or whatever, we make those way bigger than love. And the Bible says love covers a multitude of sins. So I don't care what the sin is, whether it's just your spouse being withdrawn or if there's infidelity, everything is forgivable. And so I would just say really dig deep. It's not something where you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's miraculous. I mean, if it is, tell me about it because I want to know, if you had a transformation overnight. I mean, we need to document that. However, it takes time. It takes time and it's work. It's not easy. I can give a great example. There was a point where my middle daughter, who's now 17, when she was between that 14 and 15 stage, I used to say to myself, I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I give up. I give up. I give up. I would say that over and over and over again in my head. And I would just try to distance myself away from her emotionally because I didn't want to be hurt. But then when she tried to hug me, she'd be like, Mommy, why can't I, and just thinking about that really, it really is hurtful. And so really just working through that, when God was like, this is how you're treating your husband as well, I had to say, well, I don't want them to treat me that way. And so I stopped. Again, it wasn't an immediate response, but it really was something working on saying, I do care. I do care. I do love my daughter. I do want my daughter to know that her mom is here for her. And I would say the same thing with your marriage. You really have to dig deep and say, I love this man, regardless of what he's going through, because it's temporary and subject to change. Everything in life is temporary. Only thing that's not temporary is death. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So everything in your life is temporary. What you're experiencing today may not be what you're experiencing a year from now. So I mean, it may sound cliche, but you have to dig deep. I mean, we all chose to say yes. So you have to put your big girl panties on and face the fire, face the music, and do what you have to do. Every marriage is workable if you put in the work.
Yeah. I really like what you said about, your problems cover up the love. And I think that is it's so deep and it's so true, because when you're in that challenging space where you're frustrated with him or whatever issue it is that you're facing, again, this is outside of any unsafe or abusive situation, that is so magnified. Like your conversation in your head of I want out is like a constant tape recorder that then filters every experience that you have. You then begin to see every reason for why you should leave and not any reasons for why you should stay, because you've allowed the negativity, the drama, the issues to cover up the love that really is still there, right? Mm-hmm. I so appreciate that, the way you phrased it. And I think the other thing that always stands out to me, and I am really in the thick of this right now because I have small children, but I often notice that we as women can show much more love, grace, and compassion to our children when they're acting completely out of order. And I say that as a mom of a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, which are completely out of order a lot of the time. But we are able to rationalize it, right? We just tell ourselves, well, they don't know any better, or, they have to learn, or they can't really control their emotions. Like, we figure out a way to make it okay, and then we lovingly guide them, because that's what we see our role as. But when it comes to our husbands, right, I even think about what you offered about your husband being emotional and crying over whatever, traumas were happening earlier on in your marriage. And it's hard for us to give that same compassion, because we're like, you're a grown man, you should be able to fill in the blank with 1,001 expectations we have of our husbands. And we don't let love lead, right? We don't let that love and compassion lead, where we can tell ourselves, well, maybe he honestly just doesn't know how to show affection in the way that I want. Right. Or listen to me. Whatever criticism we have of our husband at the moment, we don't consider that maybe he was never taught that. Maybe he doesn't have the capacity to do that right now. And lovingly guide him to do it. Instead of lovingly guiding him, we criticize, we complain, we blame, we do all of that negative stuff. And I always love when there's an opportunity to compare the way we treat our children when we're rearing them and showing them the way they should go, that we can apply that same love and compassion as you for that.
Absolutely.
You mentioned single women again. I know that you serve them with real coach. And so say like Tanya back in her single days, or if you're thinking about any single woman who desires to be married, what advice would you give her like now at this point in her life?
Number one, get counseling. And I mean, with a licensed clinical therapist or whoever, counseling is so important. I wish I knew to get counseling prior to getting married. I think a lot of the issues that my husband and I had, we would not have had I had counseling, and as well as my husband had counseling. It wasn't until we were in the thick of it that, I would say like year 13-ish, that we both were like, okay, this ain't working. What do we want to do? How are we going to make this work? And so we both said, okay, let's do our individual counseling. And so that's what we wind up doing, the individual counseling, and that helps. We tried marriage counseling, and I know people advocate marriage counseling. It did not work for us because we weren't dealing with our own individual issues. It became a gripe fest, basically, with a mediator trying to help us figure out our gripes, but he didn't deal with his issues of his mother abandoning him. I didn't deal with my issues of having a controlling mother. So you had someone who was abandoned and rejected. Here I am controlling and dominating and criticizing. And it was a perfect storm. And so I would definitely say get counseling first to deal with some of your issues from your childhood, your parenting, whatever went on in your past. I would definitely say get counseling. I think we are frozen. Says we're still live. So I'm hoping she comes back. If not, I'm Tanya Barnett, your real life coach. There she is. You back? Oh, still kind of frozen. Let's see if they can work through our issues. Yes, it's frozen on my side. Can you guys hear me at all? I'm looking to see. Okay, it looks like Wanda said it's frozen. Oh, she's frozen. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to talk since there's like 7 of us here. I'm Tanya Barnett, your real life coach. She may cut it off to get back in. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Thanks, ladies, for letting me know. I'm